The provincial camera ban comes into effect today, and this means all speed cameras in the province will no longer be in service, including those in school zones, and a pair in Midland, which were only installed 2 months ago. Bill Gordon is the mayor of Midland and joins me now. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Ramraajh.
How are you feeling about these cameras being decommissioned?
Well, I mean, as a parent and a father, I'm sad that this tool that the Ford government gave us in 2019 is now gone, basically due to populism. But as a mayor of a municipality that's subject to the whims of the province, I really don't have much. Happily access the new Road Safety Initiatives Fund, and I got an email last night from Minister Sakaria that looks like Midland will be getting around $100,000 in interim funding, and we can apply for more funding in early 2026.
And how far is that funding going to go? What are you going to be able to do with that?
Well, those digital speed signs that many of us are quite fond of, we have several in our community now, including a trailer, are not cheap. So that 100K will not go as far as people will think it will. But we're going to try and responsibly spend that with the most impact to replace those cameras in the school zones. So the posts that have the power right now can host those digital speed signs. And now that the law has changed, we can put the blinking amber light back on in the zone. We weren't allowed to have the blinking amber lights while the cameras were in effect, and that was part of the Ford's law. So we're going to be buying some more of those, and we have some oversized signage that's coming our way. And we'll have to follow the law and just hope that the many drivers that clearly weren't may have an about face now and maybe a change of heart.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the difference that you've seen, when you had the cameras in play.
Well, speeding reduced, which is the goal of this. It's changing driving behavior. The sheer number of fines, and I'll tell you right now, it's not really a secret anymore. We weren't advertising this, but almost every municipality in the province that used these cameras, our thresholds were 11 kilometers over. So, none of this 2 kilometer, 5 kilometer nonsense you see on social media. 11 was the minimum. And quite frankly, none of us could ever afford that kind of engagement to actually ticket every offender. It just cost too much money to process that. So that list every morning, their provincial offenses officer would sit down with their coffee or tea, and they would sort the list from highest to lowest. And they would run down that list, charging the most egregious speeders until they got down to the number that we paid for in our engagement. And after that, it would be a hall pass for all the other speeders. So we just truly never were able to actually ticket every single offender. We couldn't afford that kind of engagement with Newmarket in our case. That was our processing center. So, we counted over 88,000 vehicles traveling just one direction. Because I'll remind your listeners, again, we went light on these cameras. We only were capturing people heading southbound on this truck route that goes right in front of one of our elementary schools. Mm-hmm. So the northbound people can speed all they like, and we had no way to police that. So now, unfortunately, southbound and northbound traffic, it's going to be a free-for-all again, as it always was. Back when we had the blinking amber lights that told you were entering a 40 zone, that's when the speed changed, only when the lights were going. That never had any demonstrable impact on speeding, which is why it was one of the first places we put a camera. And the evidence certainly was backed up with the sheer number of speeding tickets that were issued. So it feels like a real step backwards. And I get that it's a populist decision because, it was their government that gave us these tools in 2019. And when the sentiment or the, whatever it was shifted, we're being urged now to switch to red light cameras, which ironically targets the very same taxpayer, in air quotes. And just like the ASE, it targets the vehicle owner, not the driver. But that initiative is still okay, and given a wholehearted thumbs up from the Premier. So I don't have evidence to support putting red light cameras in, so we're not just going to pivot to red light cameras because truly then it would be a cash grab because I'm doing it without evidence.
You've been very vocal on this program as well in the past. What has the public reaction been? Have folks been talking to you about how they feel about this decision?
Yeah, most of them want to talk offline. They're afraid of being attacked on social media. I'm very active on social media. Mm-hmm. If you read the comments on most of the threads that I participate in about ASEs and the program winding down, you'll see probably 50-50, maybe 75-25 from the people that are vocally opposed to this situation and are just parroting the tax grab mantra. Unfortunately, the province really gave license to people just to bring out their worst. And make all these comments, not realizing there are plenty of victims in this, what's seen as a victimless offense. There are all kinds of victims, tragic victims of speeds. And it's really sad to see that. But a lot of people won't chime in with their support for cameras for fear of being attacked online. So instead, they're talking to me in person, calling me on the phone, sending me emails, letters, handwritten letters, not even typed, urging us to try and do what we can to fight this. But my response is always, we can't fight the province. It's a parent-child relationship. We need to keep those relationships in good check. The province is responsible for a lot of funding that trickles down to the municipalities. It's just a little ironic that that there's only one taxpayer. We all know this, despite all the evidence that these cameras were effective at changing driving behaviors in school zones, community safety zones. That shift now is moving from the taxpayer, from the offender to the taxpayer.
I hear you.
And of course, provincial taxes are coming from they're not property taxes, right? The provincial taxes and the revenues come from a variety of other sources, including personal income tax and business tax and sales tax. So that's where we're getting this money from, which I'm thankful for. I don't have any control of, but before we had it funded only by the offenders.
Speaking of the money involved, now that these cameras have to come down, how are you paying for that? How are you paying for the fact that you've had to put these up for a period of time and you're taking them down prematurely?
Yeah, we have to eat that. So we have the sunk costs of putting the poles in and putting the hydro in them, because we can't attach these cameras to hydro poles. They had to have their own poles. Those are sunk costs. So once we take out the cost of the program, at least now we don't have to pay to exit the contract. That was going to be about a $700,000 hit if we bailed early. But now the force majeure clause kicks in, so we can get out of our contract with Newmarket. But I really feel bad for municipalities like Newmarket and Barrie and other places that have these processing centers, because they're going to be out loads of money because they bought these cameras and they're leasing to us. They have all kinds of employees they're going to have to fire and sever off. And those costs will squarely sit on the ratepayers in those host municipalities. And, so they're actually a lot worse off than we are from a cost perspective.
Right. Mayor Gordon, I appreciate you making time to speak with us this morning.
Hey, anytime. Please drive safely in our community. I know you will.
Bill Gordon is the mayor of Midland.